and welcome to Behind the Mic Radio. I am your host, Dawn Mack, and so nice to have you with us tonight. Tuesday evening, and our week is rolling right along, and I hope that so far yours is off to a great start. And tonight, our guest this evening, you're going to love, because if you are a social media crazed person like I am, and you do all kinds of stuff with social media, you're going to love our guest tonight. She is a social media marketing whiz. And if you have been searching for helpful resources and advice for using social media marketing to build your business, then our guest is your answer. Her goal is to provide reliable and helpful resources that you can implement in your business for immediate results. She takes her own personal experiences with social media and has turned them into a successful business venture. We welcome the marketing-momma, Lisa Wilbur. Hello, Lisa. I'm sorry, Kate. Why did I call you Lisa?
Hi, Dawn. How you doing?
Oh, I'm great.
I'm on the right call.
You know, I don't ever do that, and I don't know what it is, but I apologize. It's Kate. Hello, Kate. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here.
Well, thank you so very much for being on the show and taking time away to spend with us for a little bit tonight. I really want to start out tonight by asking you, how did you become the marketing-momma?
Well, it's a long story. Basically, my kids actually helped me with that name because when I started running my business, I was, trying to come up with a name for everything, and I explained to them what I was doing. And actually, my 8-year-old daughter, she was a little bit younger at the time, she actually came up with the name, so that was, she's a cutie. But I started out actually online because I had a children's boutique several years ago, and I have a background in fashion merchandising, and so I had, some marketing background. And when I started marketing for the boutique, it was really right when social media was really kind of at the cusp of getting started, and everybody was trying to, learn how to make it work for their business. So I just fell in love with it. And at the time, I had 4 little ones at home, very close in age. We had 4 within 4 years of each other, so we pretty much had 4 babies, at home.
Mm-hmm.
So running the boutique was a little, too much for me to work with their schedule. I wanted to be home with them and, be able to work around their schedule pretty much as they're growing up. So the more I learned about social media marketing, I just fell in love with it, and I decided to really create my business around that because, I could do it from home. I can use all the skills I already really had, with marketing, and, it's just kind of grown from there. So that's really how I got started.
Well, and that's really a neat story because you took something that you already had, and you obviously saw the explosion of social media. I mean, you saying it was on the cusp, which it was, and you obviously knew that you were about to tap into a gold mine, if you will, as far as advertising goes. And so what do you consider to be your areas of expertise in your social media business?
Facebook and Twitter are the ones that I focus on the most, and I have the best success with for my business and my clients. I use LinkedIn also quite a bit, and a lot of my business is focused around the branding of, getting companies set up online initially, and then taking them to the next stage of marketing everything with social media. So I do WordPress website design also, and then social media page design, because a big part of it is getting everything set up online the right way to have, your brand represented the best way possible before you even start the whole social media marketing aspect of things. And I really find a lot of people kind of tend to miss that piece of it. They kind of just try to set up their Facebook page by themselves and do a little graphic themselves, or they, try to create their website themselves when they're really not a web designer, and then they're kind of starting everything out. I don't want to say the wrong way, but there's so much more they could be doing if they had that professional pieces in place, before they start the actual social media marketing end of things. So we kind of start from the beginning, get everything set up for your brand the right way, and then take you to the next step for your social media marketing.
Well, when you actually started out many years ago, what medium of social media did you gravitate towards first for your own business?
Facebook was the one I started with, and it's really, I think, because, that's just kind of where everybody was socially, and and for me, it was the easiest to work with, because it was already on there in a social aspect of things. And then actually Twitter became more of my favorite because I just love how you can, it's so quick. It's so quick to meet people. It's so quick to make the connection. It's so easy to make connections with people. And, you just have access to anyone you can really think of, on Twitter. You really just send them a tweet and, all of a sudden you're connected. And I've made some really great connections on there. So Facebook and Twitter are usually the ones that I suggest people start with, and then, grow out. There's so many other social media channels now that are really effective, but those are the two main ones that, I usually start with everybody.
Well, and it seems like everybody, especially now, they've either got a Facebook page, a personal page, or they've got a Twitter, or in some cases they have both. And those to me seem to be the two most popular mediums for promoting yourself or your brand or whatever it is you're trying to put out there. Do you tend to agree with this in terms of, the usage over other social media mediums?
I think that is the place to start. Now there's Google Plus, there's Instagram, there's Pinterest, there's LinkedIn, and really a lot of times when I'm starting with a client, you really have to base it on the type of business that you have, and then do some research and see where your market is, because some people's businesses, their clientele is not necessarily going to be on LinkedIn or not necessarily on Instagram. So you really kind of have to take a look at your business, the type of business you have, do some research, see where your market is, and then, focus on those social media channels. I usually try to at least have a presence for my clients on, the main ones that I just named, but a lot of times, the main focus is still Facebook and Twitter, is where we kind of do our main focus of most of the marketing.
Well, and I tend to agree, because I know when I, just for promotion of my radio shows, I've found that Twitter in particular, but Twitter and Facebook have become very useful, marketing tools for, upcoming guests and so forth. But I agree with you about Twitter, and the thing that I love about Twitter is, like you said, the quickness of it is, you just put it out there, you got 160 characters, that's it. But the other aspect is the connections. I mean, I tend to spend more time on Twitter than I do on Facebook, even though I have, separate page. I have my personal account, but I have separate pages for my shows. And but I don't know. I feel like I'm more connected, and I can make more connections with regards to my show, my brand, on Twitter than on Facebook. But because Facebook, it seems to be so built around my friends, and family, and some acquaintances, but it's just such a different dynamic on Twitter. I mean, you are really reaching all kinds of people, and then people follow you that you don't necessarily know, but they kind of have seen what you are, and then they follow you because it parallels with what they're doing, or there's a connection there, and I love the beauty of that. I mean, whoever dreamed up Twitter was brilliant. You know, they knew what they were doing, and they knew obviously what a big explosion that was going to be. Now, when I first got on Twitter, I was scratching my head. I could not figure it out. But I tend
Well, that's what a lot of people, most of my clients, when I first start working with them, especially if we're doing social media training, the first thing they say is that Twitter just completely confuses them, that they just cannot quite understand, you know, how to grow their following and really what its purpose is. But once you really get into it, it's actually one of the simplest, you know, marketing channels you can use because, you know, it's so quick, it's so short, it's so to the point, and, you know, you just kind of have to have the basics in place. And, you know, I think it's just so overwhelming for people because it's so fast, and when you just first look at that news feed, there's just so much information all at once, and you just have to really know how to kind of categorize things out to know what you're looking at. But once you do that, you know, it's a breeze. And another great thing about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you're so right, because I remember the first time I got on Twitter, and that timeline was just flying, you know, and it was like, oh, my gosh, this gives new meaning to information overload. I don't know about this, you know, and so I can understand where a lot of new clients who are looking to kind of get out into the social media world would be, like, just completely confused and overrun with what do you do now kind of thing with that. But what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, too, with Facebook and Twitter, one of the great things about both of them is the paid ad marketing platform that they have, because you can target everything so down to a T of who you really want to connect with by using their paid advertising. And Twitter actually just kind of changed up their marketing platform with the paid advertising, and it's a lot more like Facebook now in how you can target things down. So you can really be real specific on, you know, a certain group of people that you want to run your ads to, that you want to target to drive to your Facebook page, whereas some of the other, you know, social media channels don't really have that piece to it, to where you can, you know, do the paid advertising part of it to kind of speed up your growing of your following and your fans.
And you know, and it's interesting that you just said that, because I've seen the advertising, you know, that Facebook offers for people who want to get into that, and especially when you set up a page, you know, you get these emails from Facebook, you know, soliciting you to partake in that. And I've not really branched out into that yet, because it's like, oh, you know, what do I do? Because I've had such a hard time trying to decide where would I target my audience, you know, because I run two different shows. One's an indie show, one's this show. So, you know, I have two completely different audiences and groups of listeners, you know, that you would target. But, you know, the other thing that I really like about the Facebook, Twitter is that, you know, there's such a meshing together of the two social mediums. You know, almost everywhere, every site you're on now, you know, they're giving you options when you sign up to sign in with your Twitter or your Facebook account. You know, a lot of your notifications you can push out to both at one time. And that really is a convenience for someone who is trying to market their business.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the great things, too. When I start my training with a lot of my clients, there's some really great tools you can use to make all of it so much simpler and almost kind of automate a lot of it with Facebook and Twitter. And you used to be able to do some of that with LinkedIn, and they've kind of taken a few of those pieces away, which is a little frustrating. You know, how all of the social media channels, it seems like, you know, they're changing something every other week, and you just get used to something and then they change it to something else. And actually Facebook is getting ready to, I'm not sure if you saw, they're getting ready to do a new news feed on how everything is laid out for people's news feed. So that's going to be another big change coming soon. But I usually try to get my clients set up with certain tools so that, you know, they can kind of have a hub of where they use all of their postings. So I use Hootsuite a lot. I'm not sure if you've heard of Hootsuite, but
you
can post to Facebook and Twitter and, many other channels all from that one place and really kind of manage everything. And that's one of the big keys is kind of getting control of the overwhelm, is having something like that in place, so you can manage everything right from one spot.
And I just know, and that is the key, because I know, when you've got all these different social mediums that you need to promote, your upcoming guests and your shows or whatever it is that you're trying to promote, it can be very overwhelming. It's like, I've just recently gotten to Google Plus, and I'm still learning it. I mean, it's one of those things that's kind of like Facebook meets Twitter meets, this and that and the other all meshed together into one place. And I'm sure that is what, Google Plus was striving for when they created that platform, or when Google did. But, yeah, I mean, it's, there's a lot of times, I just told a colleague of mine just a day or two ago, I said, I always forget to update my Google Plus for my radio shows. I mean, it's just one of those afterthoughts, But that has become such a popular medium all of a sudden, it seems, that it's important to do that. But I just always forget, and the Hootsuite, and I forget about that. I mean, I had it on my computer downloaded, but it's like, I need to get it back on there. I think I had removed it or something because I was having some computer issues. But it is a great platform to manage everything you have everywhere,
Well, and Google Plus is also great for, your search results, especially for local businesses. If you're really trying to get some exposure for a local business, Google Plus, I don't use it as much as I do with Facebook and Twitter. Really, kind of just how you explained it, I kind of always forget about Google Plus.
Yeah.
Which, even in my business is what I do every day, but it is one of those pieces that you really need to have in place along with all of the other ones, just for the actual search benefits, because since Google is the search engine that everybody's using, having that page set up for your business is going to help, show up within the search results and everything. Nowadays, everything is connected, and, even with your Facebook and Twitter, that is another great reason just to have a Facebook and Twitter account for your business, because they show up within the search results also. So, not just the social aspect of things, but actually the search results when people are doing a search just through Google, it's going to help you get found when you have those pages. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about some of the social media, mediums that I'm obviously, I mean, I'll just be honest, I don't use them currently. I've always been intrigued by them, and I've not taken the time that I need to just sit down and dive into them. But, one of them, and I'm actually signed up on LinkedIn, but I've not really started using it to my advantage yet, because it's kind of like Twitter was. I got on there, and, it's a great promotional social medium, but I get on there and it's like, where do I go from here? Where do I start? So talk a little bit about the beauty of LinkedIn and how it works.
Okay. Well, LinkedIn is definitely a completely different creature when you think of it and compare it to Facebook and Twitter. It is much more business oriented. So when you're on LinkedIn and the people you're connecting with, the majority of them are really on there just for business, whereas Facebook, it's mostly social. People are just on there kind of doing the social end of things, but LinkedIn is really all about business, and the people that you're going to connect with there tend to be, a different type of connection compared to who you're going to connect with on Facebook. One of the main key points of LinkedIn is to get your profile set up and filled out basically 100% as much as you can, and to provide as much information as you can on there about your business and about your brand. And using your keywords within your LinkedIn profile is huge, because when people do searches on LinkedIn for people that they want to connect with, that's how they're finding you, is, through different keywords that you present in there on your profile. So once you get your profile filled out completely and 100%. There's tons of things you can add in there, to help with exposure for really your products and different services that you offer, your background. You can connect it to your Facebook and Twitter. So once you get that set up, really the next part of it is going out there and searching for people to connect with. And the easiest way to do that is to look through the groups within LinkedIn. And because the groups are really categorized by the type of person that you're going to want to connect with. And so a lot of times when I'm starting with a client, I'll, one of the things you want to do is connect with people within your industry, other experts within your industry, really just any kind of connection that you can make with other professionals in the same type of industry you're in. But then you also want to look at other people that may be interested in your type of business, so not necessarily just connecting with, people that you would probably essentially think of as your competitor, but also people that, are going to be interested in what you have to offer. So there's just thousands of groups that you can search through, for different niches that you want to connect with. And then once you're in those groups, people tend to connect with the people in those groups on a more personal level, when you make those personal connections on LinkedIn. So that's really kind of the starting point. And then a lot of times what I do to get exposure for a lot of my own content is within those groups you can share your blog posts, you can share, your radio show, you can share all kinds of content in there. And you're doing it kind of more in a targeted way because, all the people, let's just say there's a social media marketing group, all those people that are in that group, you already know what they're interested in. So you can kind of target things down that way. And it's also a great way, if you're looking for a job or you're looking for, a different avenue for your career. There's just so many resources on there. And it's really the people that are kind of the movers and shakers in that industry, they're on LinkedIn compared to, if you're on Facebook, it's really just kind of a whole different type of atmosphere on the people you're connecting with.
Most definitely, and I'm going to have to just dive in and do my homework on LinkedIn. I've set up my account. I've gotten that far, but, in terms of going the extra mile and trying to seek out those people who have the commonalities. And, of course, on my other show, I deal with a lot of indie artists, so I'm following a lot of them, and a lot of them are on Google+, and they're all over social media as it is, and some of them are on LinkedIn, but, LinkedIn for what I do, I think would be good for, dealing with people who are repping and promoting artists. It would be nice to make those kind of connections. And, and I think LinkedIn would be a very, very good thing. Now, you had mentioned keywords, and how critical are the use of keywords? How critical is it of getting the right keywords put on your LinkedIn profile, or really anywhere that you might have to put keywords? Because, I know, like for every episode I do here on Blog Talk for the shows, it tells you have to put 5 keywords, and so I try to pick words that are going to be totally targeted to the show itself, that particular night's show. But sometimes I wonder, am I picking the right words? It's always kind of one of those things with a toss-up. You really don't know if the words are truly as key as they need to be. So what's some advice you have in that?
Well, definitely on your LinkedIn profile, it's huge because it also, when you put in your keywords throughout your profile, and you really, you've probably seen some people's profiles on there where they have just keyword stuffed it, and they have, every word they have on there is a keyword. There are people that do that, and that does actually work to help them get above, in the search results when someone searches on there. But you also have to think about, your professionalism when someone looks at your profile. Is that really what you want them to see, is just a whole page of a bunch of keywords, and it's not really making any sense when someone's reading it. but that is the strategy because especially like for my profile, I focus on WordPress website design and social media marketing. So the more I can use those keywords within my profile, the better I'm going to show up in the search results when someone looks for that type of person on LinkedIn. And there's so many different sections to your profile on LinkedIn that you can really, space it out to where it truly does make sense to have it in each section. So, you just kind of have to have a good balance on, what's professional and then also what's going to help with getting you to show up within the search results there on LinkedIn. And keywords really with all of your social media profiles is huge. I mean, you always think about keywords when you set up your website, but not necessarily a lot of people really think about it when they go to do their profiles for Facebook and Twitter and even YouTube, any of your profiles. And now the way the search results are working, especially like with Facebook, they just released not too long ago their new search, I don't want to say search engine, but basically search engine on Facebook that they just launched probably about 3-4 weeks ago. And it's huge when someone goes to find something on Facebook now because it's all basically being pulled from what you have within your profile. So if you don't have all of the different sections in your Facebook profile filled out and you haven't used any keywords, you're most likely not going to show up when somebody's searching. And people are really starting to use Facebook almost just like Google, when they're searching for a local business, if they want to go to a restaurant, they're already on Facebook, so they'll do a search on there. So, and even with Twitter, putting those keywords within your profile section, and then even when you're doing posts, it'll pull from there too. So, when you post on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, if you're using those keywords, that's going to help with your search results with all of them. And then it kind of flows over into Google on top of that because when Google is pulling information, it's pulling from all of those places. So, when someone does a search through Google, a lot of times you'll see people's Facebook page show up, for that search result.
So it really is, it's probably more important than I realized, and probably a lot of people realize, because when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, about you can't just think about your LinkedIn profile. You have to think about across the board where you are branding yourself or your product. I mean, because of how, that Google search, I think, is also so key because, you can search for yourself or your brand or your company, and you can kind of see where it falls in the ranking order, when it's in the search results. And I think a lot of that has to do with how you, those keywords and how you brand yourself too. Now, another interesting thing I want to talk with you about is the world of blogging. Now, I know there's a lot of bloggers out there, and there's, you've got Tumblr, WordPress, and then Blogger, which is the derivative of Google. And when someone is, let's just say someone wants to, first of all, is it a good medium for someone who wants, like if they're starting a business and they've really not ventured out into the website and the whole, Facebook, Twitter kind of thing, is a blog, setting up a blog, a good thing to do in terms of trying to help start promoting what you're doing?
Yeah, actually, that is what I suggest to be the first thing to all of my clients. And I actually will suggest using a WordPress website as their main website and then just having that blog component, as one of the parts of the website. So my main website for my whole business is actually a WordPress blog, and and that's actually what is working now within Google is WordPress. And I actually recommend having your own hosted WordPress site, so not the free version of WordPress.com, but it's actually WordPress.org, WordPress site hosted on your own hosting. And that way you own your own domain. You have control over your site. It's not controlled over some free version of something. And just an example, there's some really huge websites that are really working off of the WordPress platform. So just an example, like Oprah Winfrey's website is a WordPress website. So it's really getting away from your basic HTML sites because they don't work as well within the search results within Google anymore because Google is always trying to pull from new information and new content. And when you have a static HTML site, pretty much your information is there, it's static, it's not really going to change too much. But when you're using a site like WordPress, you can add a new blog post every couple days or even every day. You've always got new content, and it's always got something new for Google to pull from. And, that's what's working within the search results. So the number one platform to use right now is a WordPress site.
Well, I was going to ask you, out of all of it, because I did some blogging some years ago, and really it was before, WordPress became kind of all the rage in terms of the place to blog. And I had set up a blog on Blogger, and that seemed to be pretty user-friendly. When it comes to computer application type stuff like that, I'm pretty savvy to a point. but yeah, WordPress I've never dived into, and of course with my website I have a built-in blog that's just part of the website integration, and I've used it some. But I've also often wondered if I need a standalone blog, that would just give me another place to promote myself, on the web. Because I have my own domains for my site. They're free and clear in mine, but, I just didn't know if that would be something else that I need to think about doing. And if anyone else is out there listening that is in kind of my same boat where, they've got some social media presence, but wondering, well, should I do the blog too kind of thing, So it does really remain to be seen in terms of what is the best thing to do.
Well, and it's actually a really big piece of kind of what you would call your whole marketing. It's kind of like a circle. You have your blog, you have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have any other social media channels that you're using, and you're basically, if you have a blog, that's kind of your hub of where you offer your services, you offer your products. And it gives you a place to drive traffic back to from all of your social media sites. And when you use a WordPress site and you're using it as your main site, but it also has that blog component to it, it makes it a very simple process because everything is all on one platform. And then, as you're sharing new content through the blog post, then that's really easy to share on your social media channels, which then drives traffic back to your main site where your blog is and where your products and services are. And then Google or any type of search, results kind of sees all of those pieces connected and, pulls from all those pieces and you kind of have a cycle of how everything is connected, and that's what Google likes to see is, it kind of makes sense when someone is coming from, your Facebook page to your Twitter page to your products page. It's all the same type of keywords. It's all, the same type of content, and so it makes it very clear on, what it is that you offer because it's all the same type of information on all those different channels.
Yeah,
and I also recommend, too, like when you set all of those things up, that you're really clear with your branding on all of them. So, your Facebook page, your Twitter page, your blog, any other social media channel you're using, they all look the same. So it's very clear, when you're on any of those different channels, that it's very clear that this is your brand, this is what you're all about. So, sometimes you'll go, to a blog, and then when you visit their Facebook page, it looks nothing like they're branded, on their blog. So it kind of throws the user, whether or not it's the same business. But that's kind of a key thing to put in place there, is to make sure all of your branding kind of carries through everything you're doing online.
And that's a very good point. And, one of the things that always tends to overwhelm me, of course my radio shows are not my day job per se, and I wish they were, but, when I'm promoting out, sometimes I think to myself, for all the places that I would love to be utilizing for the promotion of my shows, in addition to what I'm already using, I'm thinking to myself, honestly, you could be on social media 24/7 promoting stuff. And I was wondering, what suggestions would you have for trying to streamline that a little bit easier, say for someone who, like myself, who has 2 radio shows, and I'm of course, Twitter is, I use TweetDeck, and that's highly effective for Twitter because I can, everything's in one place, kind of like Hootsuite. But is there, set times that, I could, set it up where it could be scheduled, where stuff could go out at set times? I mean, certainly there are things that arise that you have to let people know on the fly. But if there's definitive, established things that are going to be happening, is there, a scheduling process that you can apply to your social media marketing that would help kind of minimize some of the insanity sometimes?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually a big part of being able to manage it all and make it effective, because, when you're trying to run a business, you don't have time to, be on Facebook and Twitter all day long. But what I usually do for my business and for my clients is, you pretty much know what kind of content you want to share, and you know what's going on at your business at different times. And I usually schedule things out using Hootsuite, or even on Facebook. Now they have the scheduling option where you can schedule out your posts. But the key to it is to not 100% automate everything you're doing, because then you've completely taken out the social aspect of things. But there's no problem in planning and then scheduling it out by using either Hootsuite or the scheduler on Facebook, or TweetDeck, or any of those types of tools. But then making sure that, for me, I usually check in at least once an hour, and I respond to people and I engage with people. And even if and I do still do live posts throughout the day, as this day is going through. But with my schedule and my workload, I don't necessarily have time every hour to post something live, but I can take 5 minutes every hour and kind of check on what I posted and see if someone's engaging, asking a question, I respond to them. So you can still schedule things out by using those tools, but then you just want to make sure that you're still engaging and you're still live, throughout the day, off and on. But it really can take literally 5 minutes, every hour, every couple hours to engage with somebody. And especially if you're using a tool like Hootsuite, when someone's responding with you on Twitter, it's all right there, and it's all very organized. You can see if somebody responded to you. It takes 2 seconds to respond back. And really, if you don't have those tools in place, it makes it very challenging, to really make it effective, because it's harder to kind of know when someone responded to you live if you don't have it really organized in a tool like Hootsuite. And then same thing with Facebook. Even though sometimes I schedule out my posts, I schedule it, but I am still very active and very live with responding, to what people say. Because when you take that social aspect out of it, then, that's kind of where a lot of people will kind of falter, is, they'll schedule everything and then they never even interact with somebody, when they have a question or really just the actual social aspect of it, the engagement part of it, is a big piece that a lot of people are missing. By just an example with my Facebook page, a long time ago, I kind of just posted my blog post, and and that was it. And, I had some interaction. I had some results from it. But when I added the whole personal aspect of even just my everyday life within my business and within my business Facebook page, the engagement went through the roof. And, it went from maybe one person liking, a post to 50 people liking a post. That personal aspect of it is really huge, especially in today's world, because everything has become focused around social, the social aspect of things. So even the bigger companies, your Fortune 500 companies, people want to know that there's a real person behind the company, and they want to be able to, just reach out to you and kind of talk to you for 2 seconds if they have a question. They're already looking for that. It's really kind of gotten away from the real standard marketing of one-way marketing. It's really, that connection is what's creating the sales and the long-term relationships for businesses now. That's what's working now.
And the key word being social, and we have become such a connected group of people, and universally and worldwide. I mean, because of all the different ways that we have to connect now. And it's just kind of funny because when I think back, before the age of computers and before the age of social media explosion, and you think about how you used to communicate with people, it just seems so primitive now versus, pretty much everything is real time, and, if you want to know something, it's up to the second almost, and, you interact with people instantly, even from going from social media to texting. I mean, it's a constant. I mean, I know my colleague and I, when we do our shows, during our show, we're Skyping, trying to talk to each other while we're doing the show. It's just amazing the connections that you have from so many. I mean, it gives a whole new meaning to multitasking, and but it's phenomenal. And I think so many people, it's beyond the obsession. It really is. It does go to show that we are the type beings that we have to have that connection to others. And so social media has just made that possible on so many levels.
It has, and actually, I try to control my my want, I guess, to be on it 24/7, especially when it's, that's what I do for my business anyway. So I'm on, Facebook all day long and Twitter all day long for my business, but I even find that, when I go out to dinner, I'm having to force myself to leave my phone in the car because if not, I'm wanting to look and, see who's posting on Facebook, all day long. So
it is amazing how, and it's not even about us being human nature. We're nosy. We want to see what's going on with people. It really is that fact that now we're connected and we know it's so easy to connect, hop on, and I hate to admit this on air, but I'm going to, because you may or may not be able to identify, but first thing in the morning, my smartphone is right there at my bedside. Well, I don't even have a landline phone. I haven't had one for years, so I always have it at my bedside, and first thing in the morning before I get out of bed, I look at that phone. First I look to make sure my daughter hasn't called. She lives half hour away, but I look for things, and then I start looking at all my social media, did I get any email responses last night? All that business stuff for shows starts running as soon as I wake, and then it becomes kind of a thing that happens all day long, until I close my eyes and I'm out again. So it's, and
that's
I think
the same thing I do.
Good. I'm glad to know I'm not alone. But I mean, really, I think now that we've, you hear them, they're starting to talk in the media about where people are just so addicted to social media. But I don't think the addiction is that we can't kick the habit. I think we are addicted to that need to want to be connected at any given moment, and the reality of knowing that we can be, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because that's kind of the grand master plan of life, is to be connected to other people. And the internet and social media has enabled that on so many levels. That's just like last night, I had my first opportunity to chat on Google Plus, where you video chat. And I mean, and I've Skyped before, but and it was just me and one other person, but, you know, he was kind of explaining to me how it all works, and when he told me, we can have 10 people in here, I'm like, what? This is a party. You know, it was just really weird to me because, you know, it was a neat concept, but then I started thinking about all the things you can do with that alone, and but it's amazing the possibilities that social media marketing gives you to brand yourself, your business, and, you know, it just gives an individual in general. You know, it's endless, you know, it seems like.
Well, and it is really where people need to be for their business. I know there's still a lot of more along the lines of, you know, your local businesses, mom and pop shops that haven't quite taken that step, which I think the majority of people are getting there, but there are still some that, you know, they just don't quite understand it. But it is really where everyone is. You know, it's where the marketing should be, and it's where you're going to find your customers, whether it be on, you know, Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. But it's definitely a huge piece that needs to be a part of everybody's marketing strategy. So, and just like an example, when you say, you know, it's so amazing how you can be connected just with everything. Even with, you know, just this past year we had the Hurricane Sandy on the East Coast here, and it was amazing to me how you could just pretty much see what every single person was going through at the same time you were during the storm, or, you know, when people's electric went out, they still had their, you know, their cell phone, and they were still, you know, everyone was saying, my electric just went out, and, you know, you kind of went through the whole process with everybody at the same time. It's just amazing how that can happen.
And I think in moments like that, when we're like on Twitter and the feed's just flying, you know, when it's something really big going on, like, you know, Hurricane Sandy, and I think it has made us as a culture a lot more empathetic to what's going on. And, you know, because before all of this, you know, you would get these reports on the news only. You know, there was no internet to gravitate towards. I mean, and there certainly was never this up to the second, you know, ability to be able to know what's going on in any part of the world with anything.
Well, and another great thing that happens, too, which actually happened to me during that storm, you know, I'm connected with a lot of people on Facebook and Twitter that I've actually never met in person, but, you know, some people I've been connected to on Facebook for several years now, and, you know, we have a type of relationship on Facebook, but we've actually never met in person. And there was a lady in Florida that I have been friends with on Facebook for several years, and, you know, we just kind of always talked a little bit, but, you know, we don't really know each other and personally. And she had ended up connecting me with a group in New York who needed supplies right after the storm. And, you know, I've still never met this lady in Florida, but she had a friend in New York, and we're just a couple hours from New York. So, you know, we just happened to be talking on Facebook, and she was trying to get some supplies to her friend in New York, and, you know, we ended up taking a whole truckload of donations from our local town up to New York City right after the hurricane. And basically it was because someone in Florida, you know, that I met on Facebook said there was a need, and we were able to fill it. So it was such a neat thing, you know, to happen. And then that same lady in Florida ended up setting up a whole Facebook page and organization for donations, and she was connecting people from all over the United States that were able to send supplies, you know, to people right when they needed it. I mean, they were getting supplies quicker than Red Cross could get them to them because she was connecting with people on social media really right down to the point of she would send out a post saying, such and such needs a space heater. Can you buy it on Amazon.com and ship it to them? So she would just post a link, and anyone who saw the need that, could afford to donate would purchase the space heater and then ship it right to the person who needed it. So it was just such a neat thing, to watch, to be able to just help people instantly like that, people you've never met, really through people that you never met before, kind of making all those different connections. It was really neat.
And, and the thing that is the greatest thing about social media is that of the connection aspect. And, I mean, I don't know how we got along without social media before. I guess it was only because we didn't know what we didn't have.
Yeah.
There was a time when we just didn't know any better. But now that we do, it's one of those things that I'm so glad that we have, because there is just so many opportunities to connect and to make a difference in the lives of people, complete strangers that we've never met, like you were saying. And that is the beauty of it. I mean, as good as it is for business, when you think about how good it is for mankind, that is, there's nothing else out there. And I have to say, I believe, the Internet and social media as a whole is probably the greatest inventions of our time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beyond, there's been many great inventions, but when you think about how it connects people in such a magnanimous way, there's nothing else out there that has that ability. Not even the mainstream media that we see on TV. I mean, this is just so much more than that, and it reaches so many different areas. I mean, like I said, it's just endless. And so it is indeed going to be interesting to see how social media continues to unfold, because now, my colleague and I were talking about how a lot of programs you're seeing on TV are starting to gravitate to the web now, and a lot of advertisers are gravitating to the web because, people can't fast forward through commercials kind of thing. And it's just so many other doors that have yet to be open. Just when you think that social media is as big as it can get, I'm sure there's going to be something else coming, that's just going to be a great addition to it, that's just going to make it all that much more bigger and better for everyone who is using it, no doubt. And especially
absolutely.
For businesses, Well, I want to say a huge thank you, Kate-Wilbur, for being our very special guest tonight. It has been so enlightening to just hear you talk about social media marketing and how it can be used to brand yourself, your business, whatever you want to promote. It is the best medium for doing it. And, and one thing we didn't talk about was the inexpensive way to do it, versus traditional ways of advertising. I mean, it's basically free advertising. It just takes your time. And there is, they say the best advertising is free advertising or word of mouth. And technically, social media really is word of mouth advertising. So
yeah, absolutely. And then putting in there the viral aspect of things. When your friends are liking something, and that's you want to look into what your friends like. There's so many aspects to it. And the other part of it too is when you think about if you don't have a big budget to work with. It is free. I mean, there's definitely some paid things that you can do, but when I started my business, I'm just a stay-at-home mom starting my business from home. I pretty much did everything right from home on a small budget, and I've just been able to grow it over time. And really, anybody can do that.
Yes, indeed, and it just makes me excited to know what else is coming that we'll be able to implement in our businesses to make them even bigger and better than what they are now. So thank you so very much for being with us tonight and giving us your knowledge and your expertise. And for anyone out there who is looking to get some help with some social media marketing, you can actually reach Kate-Wilbur, and her website is The Marketing-Momma. You can also follow her on Twitter at Mama Marketing. I love that. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, on Facebook. And Facebook, it's Marketing-Momma as well, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, she's all over the place. Or just Google her, and she'll show up. You'll find everywhere that she is. But she's absolutely phenomenal. And if you need help, website design, social media design, she has plans and programs and training available, and she will be happy to help you. So thank you so very much for being with us. You have certainly helped me. I learned some things tonight I didn't know. So thank you.
Okay, great. Yep, I would love to be in here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome, and best of luck to you moving forward, and much success in your business.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, take care and have a great night.
You too.
All righty, bye-bye. Oh, what a great interview. I really enjoyed speaking with Kate Wilbur. She really is the marketing mama, and, and she doesn't come by that title lightly. She's learned a lot just from, self-exploration in terms of, social media that works best for her business, working from her home, and she's done so much with it that she's just taken it to the next level, and now she's able to take her knowledge and expertise and teach others and help them grow their business. So kudos to her, and thank goodness we have someone like her that knows all the ins and outs of social marketing to help those like myself who is not as savvy sometimes when it comes to everything there is to know about it. So there's always something to learn, and there's always something to know. So we thank her so very much for being our special guest tonight. And that is going to wrap our show. So we want to say a huge thank you to all the listeners. And if you're a first-time listener with us tonight, thank you so very much. We hope that you will not be a stranger, that you will be back with us again soon. And with that, I will bid you farewell. We will be back here Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, so we will look forward to seeing you right here at that time. Have a great night, all, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Good night.
Tonight's show has been brought to you by One Taste of Main Street Cake Shop, baked from scratch, custom-made cakes and cupcakes, and you'll be hooked. Every cake is made to order with only the finest and freshest ingredients. This is no ordinary bakery. Cakes are never pre-made. Main Street Cake Shop is in demand, having provided cakes and cupcakes for numerous prestigious events, bridal fairs, and venues. Owned and operated by April Murray, she has garnered many awards for not only her exquisite cake designs, but also for their incredible taste. If you're looking for a cake for any occasion, or cupcakes in a variety of flavors, then Main Street Cake Shop is the place. Visit them on the web at mainstreetcakeshop.com. Thanks for listening to tonight's show. You can connect to Behind the Mic Radio on Twitter at BT Mic Radio and on Facebook at Behind the Mic Radio. Check out our website at BehindTheMicRadio.com. Also, follow us right here on Blog Talk Radio, where you can stay up to date on all upcoming shows. Every episode is available for immediate download upon the conclusion of each broadcast, and as always on iTunes. Thank you for joining us.